It's the Sports Peninsula podcast coming up after winning a huge opener on Sunday Night Football against the Los Angeles Rams 26-20 in overtime last week. In a rematch of the wild card round playoffs from last season, the Lions now ready themselves for a visit from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a rematch of last year's Divisional Round Playoff game at Ford Field this Sunday at 1 p.m. We'll look at the matchup and discuss the keys to the game next. Now here is your Sports Peninsula team. Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Peninsula podcast. My name is Dave Drzezinski-Drew. It is Thursday, September 12th. We're trying to talk about the 1-0 Detroit Lions and their game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming up this Sunday. I'm joined, of course, on the roundtable by Detroit's finest, Justin Merriquin. Justin, how you doing?
Doing well. Kicking off the season with an exciting win. Rematch of, last year's playoff victory, against the Los Angeles Rams. And I'm just excited for this week too. Another matchup of last year's, playoff, game. So it's going to be a tough task, but I think our guys are up to it.
Yeah, amazingly, the Niners are also on the schedule, and surprisingly, it's not week 3. So, we got that going for us, right? So, and joining us is, of course, Uper Brad Harrison from the state of Wisconsin, but his heart is in the UP, Rapid River, Michigan. Brad, how you doing?
Yeah, I am doing great. I was just absolutely thrilled to learn leading into Sunday night's game, one of my best friends growing up, Dave Lundquist, his 2 boys jumping in the truck and driving 8 hours to get to Ford Field to be there for that home opener. So Upers were in the building, and I appreciate those boys. That's the next generation, fellas. That's the next generation.
I think I've met Mr. Lundquist a few times too.
I think you have.
Yeah, at the Silverdome.
Yeah. Shout out to the Lundquist family.
Absolutely. Big fans. Hey, before we get into what happened last week at the game and talk about the Tampa Bay game, we got to talk about some news that broke this afternoon. And, saddened, number 56, Hall of Fame linebacker and former head coach Joe Schmidt has passed away. And Brad, I know you worked with the organization for a while, and I know you got to meet Mr. Schmidt. Give us some of your thoughts on Joe Schmidt.
Well, have the nickname Mr. Lion says a lot for any player, and that's what Joe Schmidt is. And from a man from Pittsburgh who's just hard nosed, they give him credit for actually just inventing the middle linebacker position is some of the stuff you'll read about. And so for a man to play as long as he did, to win NFL championships in the 50s, to coach this team, and we know the stories, he left with a winning record, and we know how long it took to get another coach with a winning record. And then to settle in Metro Detroit and just be a figurehead in this city. One of the Mount Rushmores for sure. So it was definitely it just brought back memories of a good man and a heck of a football man.
Yeah, he's a legend in these parts, and certainly will be missed. Number 56, and hopefully it will never be worn again. We tried to experiment one time, but that's the kind of guy he was, though, right? I mean, he's Mr. Lion, really. I mean, like you said, and Pat Swilling comes to Detroit, asks permission, not even a hesitation. Absolutely, you can wear a 56. So you gotta like that. That's a good guy there. So rest in peace, Joe Schmidt, Mr. Lion. We're gonna miss you. Let's get into it, fellas. Let's talk about that game for last week's game. First of all, before we jump into the preview of next week's game against Tampa Bay, and what were the keys to victory in your mind, guys? And I'll start with you, Justin. How did you see this one shaking out in terms of we all predicted the Lions to win the game, but a little closer than we thought.
Yeah, so initially, if I can recall, in our last podcast, I said Ben Johnson was going to, take it to him and hit him right in the mouth. And we just didn't see that, for whatever reason, the offense couldn't get going, seemingly the whole game until overtime, where they punched it in and ended up, scoring, the winning touchdown. Very kind of back and forth, like a chess match between Dan Campbell and Sean McVay. Both sides of the ball for both teams, were kind of just, giving each other, shots. It was a very physical game. But in the end, we prevailed. But kind of, I would say, alarming and kind of shocking And I know it's the first game of the season, but, those were my thoughts. I watched the game with you, and, we were both thinking the same thing. Like, we're just waiting for the big play to happen and to get going. And there were a few bright spots that we'll touch on, but overall, yeah, it didn't start out the way I predicted, the game would.
Yeah, and you're right about that. I was just as surprised as you and Brad when in watching that game. The pace and tenor of the whole game from kickoff to the end of the fourth quarter, pretty consistent and even. But man, that overtime hit as soon as that coin flip was won, we saw something different, didn't we?
Woo, what a thing of beauty! I think I made the comment to you guys maybe on our text thread or something about I'm ready for new memories, right? Like I really appreciate everything we got to relive throughout the summer of the things that went well. That overtime's a memory. I hope I never forget to watch that O-line do that work and to see Monty just take it on it. I mean, that he's gotten all kinds of kudos this week and he should have, but I mean, what a performance. And then once again, something I hope to never forget. I still remember the Seattle game last year too, guys. I don't know about this overtime rule. Like, that's tough. That's tough. I mean, thank you, Mr. Stafford, for choosing the wrong side of the coin, because I sure would have hated to see them come back out. But what a performance. The Detroit Lions did exactly what they can do and needed to do, and they did it. And the Rams knew what was coming. They knew it was coming on that last one.
Yeah.
Nothing they could do.
Yeah, I mean, when the Lions got the ball back, I believe with 4.5 minutes exactly to go, through all 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning, thinking we're going to run a nice 4-minute drill here, knock this down about 20 seconds maybe, and then Bates kicks the field goal and you stand tall for a couple plays. Well, they caught the ball 3 and out right back up and only took 20 seconds off the clock. And I'm like, now Matt Stafford has the ball in a final drive, and like him or hate him in Detroit, we still like him. He's a legend here, but that's not the guy I want with the ball at the end of the football game with a chance to win. Lions did a hell of a job. They were able to hold him to a field goal, still at 2:26 to go with 2 timeouts and a 2-minute warning. And the Lions did their thing, got down the field. Bates didn't have to kick a 64-yarder this time, but it was a pressure kick that he made. They go to overtime, and then it's like, okay, enough playing around, let's go. Lions kick it into another gear, and the Rams were just gassed. And they literally, it was amazing seeing Montgomery score that touchdown. You saw the entire offensive line just bulldoze through it in the end zone, and then Rams are just like scattered. But that's how you win sometimes, right? They're 1-0, big win against a very good football team. And now here we are in week 2, coming up against another very good football team in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going to start out talking about the Lions offense against this Tampa Bay defense. And guys, I know that the Buccaneers are a little beat up. I don't know for sure if Winfield is Winfield officially out for this game. I
don't think he's officially ruled out yet, but I've heard that he will not go on Sunday.
That's a big loss for the Buccaneers, no question about that, especially since one of their other cornerbacks is now a Detroit Lion, Carlton Davis, who did a pretty nice job in week 1, by the way. But let's talk about the Detroit Lions offense, and Brad, let's start with you. Keys to attacking this Tampa defense. And we know the Lions faced this team twice last year. They beat them 20-6 in Tampa Bay, and then of course we know about the playoff game, the divisional round win over Tampa Bay. But both games were very close and hotly contested. You kind of see the same thing shaking out in this one when Jared Goff's on the field?
Ooh, it's hard to believe it won't be the same. I mean, these teams are very similar to where they were a year ago. You mentioned Carlton Davis, but I think the keys to this offense is going to be a response to what our offense was on Sunday night. Amon-Ra St. Brown for 3 catches. Like what? No, that's not our offense. Sam Laporta wasn't involved. It obviously opened up JMO. I think in the run game, right? Like Tampa's defense they don't know what's coming, right? I bet if I'm Tampa's defense, I'm saying Amon-Ra's getting this ball. Like we're going to have to take him out of the game just like the Rams did. I don't know. I can't imagine they can. So I'm anticipating the key to the offense is Amon-Ra St. Brown with some punches in the middle of the field. which will open JMO up again. I think we're in for a real treat with Williams here this year. So I'd like a little more balance, as we go throughout the game. It felt like our third quarter wound up what did we talk about last year? A third quarter again? Like, what's going on with these 3 and outs? Holy smokes. But I'd like to see a little more balance between the run and the pass during the action. But I think Amon-Ra is going to have himself a night.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly it wasn't for lack of trying, but obviously the Rams made a concerted effort to take away St. Brown, and for the most part it worked, and they did a nice job covering Laporta.
And we still won.
It's amazing. That's a hell of a offense the Lions have. And Justin, your thoughts on this one? Because last year we saw the Lions really try to pound the ball, but then Montgomery, I believe, got hurt in that regular season game. But nonetheless, that's when we saw St. Brown score that crossing pattern touchdown. Craig Reynolds absolutely destroyed his teammate now, Carlton Davis. But how do you see this shaking out? What do the Lions have to do on offense to attack this Tampa defense?
I think the biggest key and the foundation to winning this game upcoming is controlling the line of scrimmage. Vita Vea, he's tough as they come. He's very fast for how big he is. He could take on double teams, sometimes triple teams, and still get through. He creates a lot of pressure, a lot of havoc, and we can't have Jared Goff, going east and west. We need to keep him upright and let him be able to throw in the pocket. And like Brad said, hopefully that'll open up Amon-Ra St. Brown and finally get him going in the second game. And another player we have to watch on the line of scrimmage too is Tryon Shoyinka. That guy he's long-armed, very agile, very quick. So we're always going to have to be aware of him. And also too, like even if Antoine Winfield Jr. can't go, you still have Jordan Whitehead out there, Jamil Dean, Levante David. These guys all won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. So they understand what it takes, and they're still a stingy, tough defense. What I'd like to see more out of our receiver group is more crossing patterns and hopefully post routes to really kind of break up that defense and get them going in different directions. And I think, we can do that with, Khalif Raymond, Amon-Ra St. Brown, of course, JMO. But controlling that line of scrimmage is going to be paramount to winning this football game.
Yeah, I agree with you both. And just to throw my 2.5 cents in, I don't think I know this Lions offense is potent. And you can say I'm going to take this player. I'm not going to let St. Brown hurt me. I'm not going to let Laporta hurt me. There's JMO now. You've got the running game. That offensive line, good luck saying we're going to take that group out. I mean, you're not. The best case you could have is what the Rams did was they had some success, a bit of a stalemate. It's also the first regular season game that whole unit's played together in completely. And you're always going to see some growing pains. But I think the Lions need to just, whatever they want to do to lead this game off, whether that's ground and pound and then let the ground run set up the pass or vice versa, they need to not worry about necessarily what Tampa's going to do, because Tampa's very good. And if you're too finite, you may end up hurting yourself. So Lions have to go into that game, in my view, and say, if we're going to run, we're going to run. And then just when they think we're going to run it again, we're going to play action fake. And then all day long, like you said, crossing patterns at the middle, maybe the deep ball's available. With Winfield being out likely, and then obviously trading Davis, they're a little thinner there. But like you said, Justin, they have a nice secondary. And Brad, like you brought up, man, up front, they are tough. That front seven is very tough with Tampa Bay. Detroit's got their work cut out for them, but they know they can score on this defense, and they were able to do it last year. Both teams pretty similar this year. So I think the Lions will have some success as long as they basically say the challenge is for you to stop us, not for us to take what you're giving us. I think if they have that mindset, they're going to have some success. But let's talk now about the Tampa defense. So knowing all of this, what will Tampa Bay do to counter Detroit? Now, and I'll start with you again, Brad. Brad, what do you think if you're Tampa Bay, you're DC over there? What are you saying? How am I going to at least contain this offense?
Well, I think those 3 and outs that plagued us middle of the game on Sunday is a goal for Tampa. It's getting us in those 3rd and longs. If it's defending the pass or if it's stopping the run. I mean, that's where I think the balance of our offense really needs to shine, is so we don't get predictable and we don't get in long distance situations, those 3rd and longs. So I think they're just going to, they're going to defend that first down, first and whatever, 1st and 10, 2nd and whatever. Like, I think those are important downs early on. Yeah. And if they can get out quick, our offense didn't show quick. Our offense has to prove they can do that. And so I have a confidence in our offense to do it. But if I'm Tampa Bay's defense, like you asked, let's get them off the field and let's let Baker have some long drives. So I think those 1st and 2nd downs are going to be important to see where we're sitting on 3rd.
Yeah, that's a great point. Makes a hell of a difference. And Justin, how are you seeing this? You're Tampa Bay DC now. How are you attacking this offense?
Well, we know Todd Bowles is a mastermind when it comes to defense. He essentially shut down Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, when they won it a few years back. But I expect a lot of pressure. I expect timely blitzes and just waves of different pressure coming from the secondary all the way up front, the front 7, to kind of disrupt Goff and his timing. So if you get pressure on him or just kind of like show him like, yeah, we're coming, he might get a little antsy and try to throw that ball out quicker than anticipated. And, they have an athletic secondary. So these guys, can all intercept the ball. They can all make, exciting plays. Even the linebackers can too. So I just see a lot of pressure on Goff, like you alluded to earlier. The Rams did do that successfully, during the game, get to Goff or, at least kind of just pressure him and get those 3 and outs. We saw late in the game, the Lions against the Rams, 3 and out. And I think 20 seconds only came off the clock. So if the Bucs can do that, a few times during this game, you're talking about a tight football game. So I think that's their key to victory against us, is just really disrupting Goff's rhythm. Because if you do that, then you can just focus on the run game and, stop that hopefully with Vita Vea and company.
Yeah. So if I'm looking at this, I see a new right guard in Kevin Zeitler, and I see a fantastic right tackle in Penei Sewell, number 58. But I also read that he has a high ankle issue. Not seeing anything indicating that he's not going to play, but I know he didn't practice today, and he's hoping to be a limited participant tomorrow on Friday. So we're hopeful he'll be good to go. But I'm going to attack that side initially. I want to test it early. I want to see what they've got. Tampa can get to Goff if they put a lot of pressure, but they're going to leave themselves exposed in their secondary. So at that point, you got to pick your poison in essence against the Lions. And if I'm a DC and I think I can get to the quarterback, if I can get to Goff, I can disrupt him enough and then hopefully my secondary can make a play in single coverage. But that's quite a task. Now, if you don't, the flip side is if I lay back and say I'm gonna play some prevent, good luck. I mean, Goff's gonna pick you apart. Somebody's gonna be open. So to me, they kind of got to gamble a little bit here and try to put pressure on Goff and try to force mistakes, or force, Brad, like you said, second and first and second down issues, so that they're putting the Lions in 3rd and long situations. Easier said than done, but to me, that's the only way to attack them with this unit, with this group that the Buccaneers have. I think their secondary is stout enough that they'll be able to at least hang and they want to try and keep everyone in front of them. Obviously, they're going to have to rush Goff. They got to get to Goff, or they're going to have a long day. But that's just my humble opinion. But let's talk about the Lions' defense against this Buccaneer offense now. And I'll start with you, Justin. So you're Aaron Glenn. How are you going after now? In this offense, mind you, against the Commanders at home, but 37 points, pretty impressive against the Washington Commanders last week. Trio of receivers that are very good and a good running game. So what's the key to stopping this Tampa offense?
Well, I'm going to go ahead what we just left off with Tampa's, our understanding what they should do against Jared Goff and company. Well, that's what we should do as the Lions and the defense should do to Baker Mayfield. Pressure, pressure, pressure. We've seen it time and time again. We saw it last season when we pressured the heck out of him. He does not make good decisions and really starts just throwing the ball up, and he gets very hurried in the pocket, likes to run out. He likes to use his legs, and he likes to throw on the run. But if we disrupt that and get him going all over the place, he will make mistakes. And we saw that, especially when we sealed the game when Derek Barnes intercepted him, to send us to the NFC Championship game. I see the same thing playing out on Sunday, is really attack Baker Mayfield. And with this revamped secondary, I have a renewed confidence that we can hang with these guys. And I know Mike Evans, he's going to be a future Hall of Famer. He's one of my favorite players of all time. You're just going to have to, live to fight another day. There will be times where he's going to make an awesome catch on the sideline, or he's going to make the first down catch. I can live with that. Just let's try not to give up a huge play, 20+ yard plays, because Baker Mayfield does like to let it fly. And then also we got to key in on Rachaad White, the running back. He's very good at catching the ball out of the backfield. He will split out wide as a wide receiver, and he is very good at running the football as well. So I think if we just put a lot of pressure on that offensive line and Baker Mayfield, and I would say blitz more often, I think we can disrupt Baker and get him off his game. And got to do that early. We can't wait to do that late. Certainly don't want to do that, especially if we're behind. So get up on him early. That's what I say.
Makes a lot of sense. Brad, you got any thoughts on this? How's Aaron Glenn? How's AG going to stop this Tampa offense?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Justin's right. Rattle Baker. Like, you got to rattle him. I mean, the kid is an absolute gamer, right? Like, so he can make a mistake and he doesn't stick with it. Sometimes he can just go on to the next play. But, man, if you get him in his mind a little bit that Aiden's coming, Davenport's coming from the other side, Aleem's crushing the middle, and we're going to have DJ Reader. I mean, this will be interesting, right? Like, none of us in Lion Nation have seen DJ Reader wear the Honolulu blue and silver next to Aleem McNeil. I'm thrilled, man. Like, I can't wait. I'm glad this game's at 1:00 and not 8:30, because, man, I want to see this thing. And so that'll be interesting. I think last week we felt the effects, like a lot of teams, a week one with not a lot of challenge on a preseason minutes. So, all these guys on the defensive side of things, especially in the backfield, okay, they've got a game under their belts, or they've played together and they communicated in a loud environment, so I do think you're going to have that benefit. This will be a better performance from the Detroit Lions than it was a week ago. And just like Campbell said, a little better each week. And this will be a little better each week.
Yeah, and you bring up DJ.
How great were those linebackers, by the way?
Ooh, yeah. Anzalone.
Anzalone.
Game ball. You got a game ball. Yeah, and that's going to be key. He's bringing that kind of intensity out there. I love that you bring up Reader, because, I'll kind of combine what you both said. Pass rush, yup, I agree. Right, early and often. Let's get the push up the middle, because I believe, Tampa's got some nice tackles. Tristan Wirfs on the right side. He's outstanding. They got a nice offensive line, but good luck stopping McNeil and Reader up the middle, especially if you bring some heat up the middle too. Maybe Anzalone comes in on a blitz, maybe Derek Barnes or Jack Campbell, whatever the case is. And then that's going to give opportunities for Hutch and Davenport. And Davenport had a nice game last week too. He had some opportunities. My concern, though, is as often as they pressured Stafford, he slipped away most of the time. And most of the time he made plays. Now, Matt Stafford on the run is a much better quarterback than Baker Mayfield in terms of accuracy. However, Baker Mayfield is also a little more fleet of foot than Matt Stafford. So I'm a little concerned about that. But to me, I agree with you guys. Get the pass rush going. I do trust that secondary. Absolutely. Chris Godwin, you can try to double team Evans, but Godwin's awesome in single coverage. He scares me a little bit. Cade Otton at tight end is very good, but I think they can handle him. But I think
he only had a catch for 5 yards last week against the Commanders, so very good. And I also read today too, Aaron Glenn was extremely impressed with Carlton Davis. He gave a full breakdown and presentation of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receivers. He's been going against them, for a long time now, especially Mike Evans. So again, like you just said, I believe in our secondary, and I think he's going to give them some tools to victory on Sunday and how to attack these receivers. So that's another thing that's probably going to go in the game plan as well, that we previously didn't know about. Now we got some inside information on, probably how they like the ball, or how they attack, and how they break in and out of their routes, things like that. So AG said he wished he would have filmed that presentation. That's how good it was that Carlton Davis gave to the team about the receivers.
It's good to hear. It's excellent intel, and certainly the Lions have a lot too, because they faced them twice last year. And like I said, both these teams are pretty much intact. If anything, they got a little better, both of them. So,
well, I'll tell you, isn't this like third game in like 11 months?
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's like the old NFC North division days, right? We played them twice a year all the time.
It's just going to be another slugfest. Just, who's faster out of their break to catch the ball, who's faster to the respective quarterbacks and the running backs. I think, a lot of what's going to happen Sunday is speed kills, on both sides of the ball for both teams.
I mean, there's so much talent on each side. I just think, and they're built very similar. The way the Bucs have built their roster is similar to how our talent levels higher. Our talent levels got, they're not where we're at for that, but it's an impressive organization right now in my mind.
You guys are right. And they have. I mean, Baker Mayfield, you could argue his story parallels Jared Goff's in a lot of ways, kind of given up on, kind of cast away. He went through some, he played for a couple of teams last year, right before he settled in. I'm sure Cleveland's really happy with their decision, though. I can tell you that right now. Get rid of that guy. Let's trade the farm for Deshaun Watson. How's that working?
I will tell you, Monday morning, I listened to a snippet of a Cleveland radio show, and the first caller talked about QBR ratings, Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield, and they were very far apart.
That's too bad, isn't it? That's too bad.
Is what it is, right?
Poor Cleveland.
I do.
That we had the problems that we have, and then you see a team like Cleveland that's just very, very disruptive right now, the fan base.
Yeah, you're right. I have nothing but love for Cleveland until we play them. But at the same time, those fans have suffered too. How they lost their franchise, and then they watched that said franchise. Now it's called the Baltimore Ravens win a Super Bowl. 2 of them actually.
That's the worst. That is the worst.
It's demoralizing. The definition
makes you feel good to be a Lions fan. Hey guys, let's flip it around now. We got the Buccaneer offense. I screwed that slide up. Apologize. We're talking about the Tampa offense. We know this Lions defense intimately as fans, and we see them all the time. I'll start this off. If I'm on offense, you certainly got to be aware of Hutchinson, and 97 is going to kill you, and 97's got to be accounted for. So to me, I can't let Hutchinson beat me. Now I'm not sure if running at him may be the answer. I think you'll see a lot of rollouts away from him by Baker Mayfield, because I think that's the kind of offense that they can run and can handle that. They're certainly going to try and run the ball. Rashad White, good running back. It's going to be tough for him to find real estate to run with the front 7 that the Lions possess. I'm sure they're going to be in nickel a lot, because the Buccaneers like to run 3 receiver sets. No matter, it's going to be a very difficult day, especially if the Lions get creative with blitzing, whether it's Anzalone, whether it's Brian Branch, whatever they can do. Get James Houston in there, maybe have him in a 2-point stance, whatever. But I think they're going to keep him in a 3-point stance. They want his hand in the dirt more now. So I just think the Lions. I agree with you guys. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers know that they're going to get a lot of pressure, and they've got to be able to stand up and handle it. Can you do it? And if you can, Mike Evans certainly is your number 1 target. He's 6'5". Even if you try to double team him, it's jump balls are going to be in favor of him. Easier said than done, of course, but at the end of the day, I think that's the thing that they have to do, and I think they really got to control the time of possession. The Buccaneers, to win this game on offense, have to control the clock. Again, easier said than done against this Lions team, but that's how I'm seeing this shake out. Justin, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think, for the Buccaneers, they need to use Cade Otton. Like I alluded to earlier, he only had 1 catch for 5 yards against the Commanders last week. So if they can get him going and kind of test these linebackers, and I know Anzalone stepped up in a big way last week, but this is a new week. Let's see if he steps up in a big way this week. And along with Derek Barnes and Jack Campbell, if he's out there. So I'd like to, see them utilize Kate Otten more and maybe, go down the field. You mentioned Mike Evans, absolutely. And then the ultimate safety valve in the NFL is Chris Godwin. He catches the ball, extremely well. I do think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to have to pass a lot, in this football game. Like you said, I don't think they're going to have a lot of success running up the middle. Rashad White's not a up the middle type of guy. He's more east and west and kind of get shifty. And he likes to catch the ball out of the backfield and line up in the slot receiver position. So they're going to have to spread out our defense and then test our guys one-on-one, the tackling ability. A lot of our guys last week, including Brian Branch, whiffed on some tackles. That turf was a little slippery last week. So if the Buccaneers can exploit that, and get 6, 7, 8 yards, a down, then, I could see them having success against our Lions defense, but it's going to be extremely tough. Baker's probably going to have to throw this ball probably 30 plus times.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And Brad, we saw the Rams last week. Matt Stafford's getting rid of that ball real quick, and they were having success with that because that was quite frankly, that countered a lot of the pressure that he was under. And even still, the Lions are still able to generate a lot of pressure. Do you see something like that shaking out, or do you see this different for the Tampa Bay scheme?
Man, well, I don't know how I do something different. It definitely had us on our heels. I felt like the beginning of that game running toward Aiden was a benefit to the Rams, but I started looking at those short passes. Stafford threw the ball 49 times. Like that's not winning football.
No, it's not.
Right. I mean, they were right there, but Baker Mayfield shouldn't be throwing the ball 49 times against us. Right. So, I think if you can stiffen those edges, don't, bring one of those linebackers around on Aiden's side, because they're going to go at it, right? Like that's how you neutralize him, run at him.
Yeah.
And then just get after Baker, figure it out. It doesn't sound like, everything I'm reading about and hearing about James Houston, like we all saw 8 sacks in half a season, but it doesn't seem like he's in their good graces right now. I always think he should be in the game. At least they should have some plays for him. But I know he's a guy that can get after quarterback, but I don't think he does enough other things to help him get on that field on game day.
Yeah, it almost sounds like they're struggling to find a niche for him. They know his niche is rushing the passer, but they'd rather. It's fun. Yeah,
that'd be my niche. I'd like that niche.
You'd rather be in a 3-point stance, and they had him in a 2-point stance last year, but they really want him to be a down lineman more. And not sure if that's going to translate yet, but hopefully things will work out. I want to bring up before we get into our predictions. Levi Onwuzurike played a lot in that game. That's the most we've seen him play since they drafted him. He held up pretty well. I mean, I didn't see any. The one thing I guess I like about that game, I in my personal opinion, of course, guys made some mistakes. Some plays didn't work out, but guys, I didn't see anything that was glaring where you're like, oh my goodness, and you can tell this is week 1. I mean, yeah, a little rust, but both teams played some pretty clean football. These are good football teams we watched. I mean, so looking forward to that in week 2 with Tampa Bay as well. So let's get to it, guys. Let's talk about our predictions for this one. We all were right on the game last week, but again, it was a little closer than we thought. We all thought the Lions would break 30 points in that one. They were not able to, but nonetheless, doesn't matter. A win's a win. They got the W. Sunday, Ford Field. Justin, how you seeing it?
I see a similar, matchup going back to, the playoffs before we went to the NFC Championship game. It's going to be a slugfest. We're going to have to figure some things out. Tampa Bay defensively is probably going to make some, great plays against us, and we're going to have to counter that. But I think in the end, we pull away, but it's going to be a tough matchup all game. But if I have to, predict a score, I'm going to go with 28-20 Lions.
I like that. Like that little closer game. I like that. Brad, how you seeing it?
Yeah, I'm not seeing us breaking 30. I think I got carried away last week. just with memories of last season in my brain. I'm gonna give Tampa the credit they deserve on defense. But I mean, I could see us pushing 30. I could see like a 28-17, 28-21 if they get a if Tampa ends up making some big plays on us. I see us winning. The home field's going to mean something in Ford Field. Man, shout out to you Line fans. What a snake pit. I mean, this is a thing. This is an absolute home field advantage.
Yeah.
And I can't. I mean, night games are different than day games. I think but keep bringing it. Don't cheer too loud when Dan Skipper, comes into the game. Quiet down a little bit. I know it's exciting.
Yep.
But that home field advantage is going to take care of these two playoff teams, right? Like that. This is going to be beneficial at the end of the season. You got one on the Rams, and let's get one on Tampa. These guys could win their divisions.
Yeah, and they're two key tiebreakers too, right? I mean, that's huge. 2 conference wins against 2 teams likely in the playoffs, like you guys said, just like they were last year. Totally agree with that. Agree with you all on the Lions winning this game. Very close game. I see it. I'm going to say 24-21. We may see some Jake Bates heroics, and I would like that. That would give us all some. They ain't trucking. If they truck Tampa, look out. I mean, I can't see that unless they just are really able to get at Mayfield early and make him and force him into mistakes. If they can get an early lead, it makes them one-dimensional. All bets are off at that point. That's a tall order against a very good football team. But yeah, no reason. A game versus A game, the Lions should win this game, and I agree with you guys. But I think it'll be close. We'll really love to see them go 2-0 after this week and take that into their first road game next week, which will be against the Arizona Cardinals. So final thoughts, Justin, before we wrap this one up?
I just think, Lions need to stick to their game plan. We saw at the end there running the football in overtime, catching the whole NFL world by storm. You had Marcus Spears tweeting out that was old school football. He loved it. Jason Kelsey, who's now retired center from the Philadelphia Eagles, he said his adrenaline was high, that he wasn't going to sleep for a few hours after watching that, unfold in overtime. So I think more of the same needs to happen. And like Brad just said, I think we have the best fan base, and I think we have the most, raucous crowd in, the NFL. And I think it's the toughest place to play. I know Good Morning Football, they were going over that. Kyle Brandt, kind of agree with that, but I wholeheartedly believe it's the toughest place to play in the NFL right now. The chips are down, the fans are screaming and yelling. You can't even hear the play call. False starts will happen, or you just don't even get the right call. So I just think our players just keep doing what they're doing. I think you're going to see a heavy dose of Brian Branch out there making some more big plays, possibly a pick six, or, you'll see a tip drill out there with him and Terrion Arnold and company. And, DJ Reader, he will be in the lineup, and I expect him to disrupt that Tampa Bay offensive line. So just very excited just to see it all come together, and just excited to see it unfold once again. I know we're coming off last week, but I'm just as fired up as it was last week. So just keep the momentum going, just take it one game at a time. We know what the ultimate goal is, what this team wants to accomplish. How do you do that? By winning these conference games, like you both just said. They're going to add up at the end of the season, and hopefully home field advantage. So just stick to what they know and stick to the game plan. I think everything will be all right.
Yeah, it's good thoughts there. And Uper Brad, I see over your right shoulder, you've had that very, very neatly placed picture of Mr. Joe Schmidt there. Love that. Great touch. Awesome. Did you do that for the show?
Yeah, I pulled it off the wall, and
okay, I like it.
Thought I'd put him on the show with us today, boys.
I love it. Any final thoughts from you before we wrap it up?
Wow, I do. I'm just thrilled we're here. It's one of my favorite times of year, man. This is just great. Forward down the field for all you 65,000 people that are going to be at Ford Field on Sunday. I don't want you to have a voice on Monday. Get after it.
There you go. Couldn't have said it better. We're going to wrap this one up. Thanks again for watching. And please, hey, like and subscribe to the video. We got content every week. Every Thursday, we're doing Lions previews and reviews. So check us out. We're in our 7th season. Love to hear from you and love to have you as a subscriber. So thank you. For Justin Mariquin, for Brad Harrison, I'm Dave Drzinski. Take care, and keep watching and keep supporting us. We appreciate you. Take care. This has been the Sports Peninsula Podcast. To subscribe to the podcast, simply click the subscribe button on our YouTube channel's homepage and give us a like. You can also follow our audio podcast on multiple platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts, just to name a few. Give us a follow on Twitter. Our handle is @SportsPPodcast to check out our latest releases. Thank you again for watching and for your support. Remember, when you want to hear all about sports in the great state of Michigan, there is only one Sports Peninsula Podcast.